under the quiet moon, where the wind carries whispers of forgotten lands. Welcome to Echoes of the East. Tonight, let an ancient tale guide your heart and calm your mind. Rest your thoughts, let the waves carry your worries away, and follow me into a story that has lived for centuries in the hearts of the Javanese people. This is the tale of Nyi Roro Kidul, the mystical queen of the southern sea. Long ago, when kingdoms ruled across Java and the air was filled with the songs of gamelan, there lived a young princess of great beauty and wisdom. Her name was Nyi Kidul, daughter of King Mundingwangi. The king loved her dearly, but his queen had long passed away, leaving Nyi Kidul vulnerable to jealousy and cruelty. One day, the king remarried, and the new queen bore him another daughter. This new queen, however, was filled with envy toward Nyi Kidul. The people admired the princess's grace, and even the court whispered of her kindness. But envy can be sharp as a blade. With a heart twisted by jealousy, the queen sought a dark path. She went to a sorceress who lived deep in the mountains, hidden among mist and thorny forests. There, under the shadow of banyan trees, she pleaded for a curse to be placed upon Nyi Kidul. The sorceress listened, her eyes like glowing embers, and granted her request. When the curse was cast, Nyi Kidul's body broke out in terrible sores. Her once smooth skin was covered with blemishes, and her beauty seemed to vanish overnight. The people turned away in fear, and whispers spread like wildfire. Those who once praised her now avoided her shadow. Heartbroken and betrayed, Nyi Kidul left the palace. She walked without direction, her bare feet bleeding on sharp stones, her tears falling like rain. She wandered for days and nights, guided only by the moon above. At last, she reached the southern coast of Java, where the waves roared with a voice both fearsome and comforting. The ocean stretched endlessly before her, wild and untamed. Exhausted, she collapsed upon the sand. The salty wind caressed her face, and she felt her sorrow begin to dissolve into the rhythm of the tide. The sea seemed to call her, whispering promises of release and rebirth. Nyi Kidul rose, walking into the rolling waves. The water wrapped around her, cool and tender, as if welcoming her into its embrace. As she sank deeper, the curse began to lift. The sores melted away, and her beauty returned, more radiant than before. But it was no ordinary beauty. She now carried the glow of the sea itself, her hair flowing like dark waves, her eyes shimmering with green light. From that moment, she was no longer Nyi Kidul. She was Nyi Roro, the eternal queen of the southern sea, ruler of spirits, and guardian of the ocean's mysteries. Fishermen who sail the southern waters of Java still whisper her name with reverence and fear. Some say they see her rise from the waves, clad in flowing green garments, her presence both enchanting and terrifying. Others speak of her palace beneath the sea, made of coral and pearls, where spirits dance eternally under the glow of blue fire. Yet for many, Nyi Roro Kidul is more than just a queen. She is a symbol of nature's power, beautiful, untamed, and merciful to those who show respect, but merciless to those who dare to mock the ocean. And so, whenever the waves crash fiercely upon the shores of the Indian Ocean. The Javanese say it is the queen reminding the world of her presence. Close your eyes and imagine the southern sea tonight. The horizon stretches endlessly, painted silver by the moonlight. The waves rise and fall, steady as a heartbeat. Somewhere beyond, in the depths where no light can reach, lies her palace, guarded by the spirits of the deep. If you listen closely, perhaps you too can hear the whisper of Nyi Roro Kidul carried on the wind. The years drifted on, and Nyi Roro Kidul's presence grew deeper, more mysterious. The villagers of the southern coast began to speak of her not as a woman, but as a guardian, spirit beautiful, terrifying, and eternal. They said she wore a flowing gown of emerald green, the same shade as the waves that swallowed ships. They said her hair fell long and dark, as if spun from the night sky itself. To those who honored her with offerings of flowers and incense, she brought calm seas and abundant catches. Fishermen whispered her name before setting out to sail, hoping her gaze would watch over them. But to those who disrespected the ocean, who forgot their place before nature's might, she was merciless. They told stories of men who vanished at sea, dragged by invisible hands into the depths. Some said the queen of the southern sea took them as her companions, binding their spirits to her watery palace beneath the waves. Others believed she punished arrogance, reminding mortals that the ocean was never theirs to conquer. Yet even in fear, there was reverence, for in her mystery lay beauty. The horizon, painted gold at dusk, became a reminder that the world was larger than human ambition. And at night, when the tide rose high and the moon shone full, villagers swore they could hear faint laughter drifting across the water. It was not cruel, it was haunting, melodic, like the echo of an eternal song. So the people began to build shrines along the shore, small places of devotion. Offerings of jasmine, rice, and fragrant oils were left in the sand, and in return, many claimed to dream of her, a woman cloaked in emerald light, standing upon the waves, her gaze both kind and unyielding. This was not merely a tale of power. It was a lesson that harmony with nature requires respect, humility, and awe. Legends of Nyi Roro Kidul traveled beyond the coast, carried by traders, storytellers, and wandering mystics. Her name reached royal courts, where kings and queens sought her blessing for prosperity. Some even believed she shared a mystical bond with Java's rulers, guiding them in silence through the unseen world. One tale spoke of a great king who stood upon a cliff, overlooking the roaring waves. The wind tore at his robes, but he remained unshaken. He prayed for guidance, for the weight of his people pressed heavy upon his shoulders. That night, as he slept, a dream came. In it, Nyi Roro Kidul appeared not as a wrathful spirit, but as a luminous queen crowned with seashells and moonlight. Her voice, soft as the tide, spoke of balance. She reminded him that power was not only in strength, but in harmony, that a king like the sea must be vast, yet gentle, fierce yet nurturing. When the king awoke, he ruled with wisdom, weaving her teachings into his reign, and the people flourished, remembering the unseen hand that guided them from the southern waters. To this day, the bond between rulers and the Queen of the Southern Sea remains a subject of quiet awe. Travelers say that in the royal palaces of Java, certain chambers are kept open, facing southward. They are said to belong to her, should she ever wish to visit. And so, the legend grew, threading together the sacred and the earthly. the sea and the land, the mortal and the eternal. As centuries passed, the ocean carried her legend further, shaping it like the waves shape stone. Some saw Nyi Roro Kidul as a motherly protector. Others saw her as a warning of vanity, for she was said to punish those who dressed in green near her shores, mistaking it as mockery of her sacred color. In villages lit only by lanterns, elders would gather the young and tell stories by firelight. They spoke of a time when a storm swallowed the coast. Lightning struck the waters, waves rose like mountains, and ships shattered upon the rocks. In that chaos, a woman's form rose from the waves. Her gown shimmered with foam, her eyes glowed like the moon. With one raised hand, the storm calmed. Fishermen crawled from the wreckage, trembling but alive. They knew who had spared them. From then on, her name was spoken not with fear, but devotion. Children fell asleep to her stories, lulled by the sound of crashing waves in the distance. For them, Nyi Roro Kidul was not only a figure of mystery, but also of wonder. She was proof that the sea had a soul, that the endless horizon was not empty, but alive with ancient spirit. And so, under each rising moon, the people remembered her, some through song, some through prayer, and some through silence, listening to the whisper of the tide. But every legend holds both shadow and light. There are darker stories too, whispered when the fire burns low and the waves crash harder than usual. They say that those who wander too far into the sea, with pride in their hearts, might find themselves drawn into her realm, not by accident, but by invitation. A sudden current, a pull beneath the waves, and the world above vanishes. In the deep, there is said to be a palace made of coral and pearl, lit by lanterns of glowing fish. There Nyi Roro Kidul rules in silence, surrounded by those she has taken. Some say they live in endless beauty, feasting and dancing forever. Others whisper they are trapped, unable to return, bound to her will until the end of time. Yet even these tales do not paint her as cruel, only just. She is the sea itself, vast, unknowable, merciful and merciless alike. To those who understand, her legend is not one of terror, but of balance. For the sea gives life, but demands respect. And so, in every offering, in every whispered prayer at the water's edge, the people acknowledge her truth, that to live in harmony with nature is to accept both its kindness and its power. Tonight, as you listen beneath the quiet moon, perhaps you can imagine it. The sound of waves rising and falling like breath, the scent of salt in the air, the horizon stretching endlessly, where the sky kisses the ocean. Close your eyes and see her, a figure robed in green, her hair flowing like the tide, her presence both soothing and commanding. She is the echo of centuries, the memory of storms, the dream of the sea itself. Whether she is guardian, queen, or mystery, Nyi Roro Kidul remains part of the soul of the land. Her story endures not only because it is told, but because it is felt. In the rhythm of the ocean, in the whispers of the wind, in the reverence of those who pause to listen. So let this legend rest in your heart tonight, like the lull of the tide. May it bring you calm and remind you of the eternal dance between humans and nature. For in every wave, she is there, watching, waiting, guiding. And as you drift into dreams, remember, the sea is alive, and in its depths, stories never die.